Meeting for Tuesday, February 12th, 2019. Tonight's invocation will be led by Pastor Randy Dupree of the First Assembly of God in Church. Please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening. I'm going to read 3 verses of Scripture, and then we'll pray together. You can include this as part of the prayer. This morning as I woke up, I was thinking about this Scripture. Isaiah 60 says, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. See, darkness covers the earth, thick darkness over the peoples. But the Lord rises upon you, and his glory appears over you. Nations will come into your light, and kings into the brightness of your dawn." Holy Spirit, Father God, may it be unto us at Coffeyville that the light will rise and shine upon us, that your glory will be known throughout this room, throughout this meeting. And God, as we meet together tonight, may your will be done. Not according to just our standards, but God, may you be glorified in everything that's said and done in this room. Father, we give you praise because none of us even have breath in our lungs without you. None of us can do anything on our own. We are creatures, according to the Word of God, created. But not just any creatures. Men were created in the image of God, which means that we are holy to you. And you've created a way for us to join you someday. But Father, tonight, may you join us in the business of Coffeyville, and may your light shine upon us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor.
You're welcome.
Tonight's consent agenda. First item is City Commission meeting minutes for Tuesday, January 22nd, 2019. Second item, City Commission special meeting minutes for Thursday, January 24th, 2019. Third item, City Commission special meeting minutes for Tuesday, February 5th, 2019. And 2018 appropriation ordinance number AO-19-03 in the amount of $1,133,225.82. Are there any questions or amendments to these items on the consent agenda?
I have none. I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Van Oster and seconded by Mayor Bauer to approve the consent agenda as presented. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Doan.
Aye.
Mayor Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster.
Aye.
So we have several things on our special presentation and proclamations. Tonight we'll start with the proclamation of Wear Red Fridays. I'll read the proclamation, and we'll be mailing this to the Blue Star Mom representative, Brandy Taylor. She's ill tonight and unable to attend, so I'll just read it from up here. Whereas Wear Red Fridays was initiated and established in 2005 to encourage Americans to wear red each Friday as a show of support for our troops, and whereas Wear Red Fridays serves as a reminder to acknowledge the men and women who selflessly serve the United States of America, and whereas Blue Star Moms send care packages to all men and women serving overseas as well as other duties. Now, therefore, I, Paul Bauer, Mayor of the City of Coffeyville, Kansas, do hereby proclaim Friday as Wear Red Fridays to show support to our citizens serving in the Air Force, Army, Navy, Marines, and Coast Guards. In witness whereof, I hereunto set my hand in cause of the seal of the City of Coffeyville to extend the 12th day of February 2019. The next item on our special presentation is a presentation of Fire Department's Life-Saving Awards. We'll be presenting awards to several members of the Fire Department and Coffeyville Police Department. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to read the events that happened. And so tonight I would like to have Rex Reardon, Jake Dean, John Graham, Eric Fritz, and Caleb Horn, and Bob Roski. All come up front, please. Stand. Thank you, gentlemen. I'm going to go through and read the events that happened on November 24th because I know if I don't, I'll miss some of the things, and we need to highlight the bravery that these gentlemen did that night. So, a two-story fire at 1508 South Willow, or a two-story house at 1508 South Willow was on fire with people trapped inside. The Coffeyville Fire Department was dispatched, and 6 firefighters quickly left the station in E3 and E1. Also notified were off-duty personnel, fire personnel, along with South Coffeyville Fire Department, CRMC, EMS. When the firefighters arrived, flames were shooting out of the second-floor window. Firefighter Eric Fritz and Caleb Horn set up a ladder and entered the window where they found 2 female occupants. Fire Captain Rex Reardon and Lieutenant John Graham and driver Jake Dean assisted with getting occupants down the ladder and into ambulances. A neighbor notified Coffeyville Fire Department there was also a male occupant inside the house. Lieutenant Kevin Midget entered the second-story window, located the male, and got him out of the house and into the ambulance. Police officers Justin Hannigan, Brian Twitchell, and Russell White, Lieutenant Darren Daly were also on scene, where their normal duties for a fire structure is to set up a perimeter to block traffic. With all the firefighters working to rescue the occupants, the officers jumped into action while pulling fire hose. Hannigan put water on the fire until additional firefighters arrived. All 4 officers assisted with loading victims into the ambulance. Chief Bob Roski had arrived on the scene, and he was going to drive one of the ambulances to CRMC. However, his assistance was needed in the back with the patients. Officer Twitchell and Hannigan drove the ambulance to CRMC, which allowed all the EMTs to be with the patients. All fire victims were transported to CRMC, and 2 were life-flighted to Tulsa. The fire eventually claimed 2 lives. However, the 3rd victim was released from the hospital, and she is recovering from her injuries. Tonight, we honor the heroic efforts of 3 firefighters who entered the burning 2-story house and rescued the occupants, and the 3 who got them down the ladder and into ambulances. Captain Rex Reardon and your crew, Kevin Midget, who is not here, Jake Dean, John Graham, Eric Fritz, and Caleb Horn. Chief Roski is presenting life-saving medals to you as a representation of the training and dedication you displayed in the rescuing and the saving of human lives. Stay put for just a minute. So thank you to the first responders who assisted in this incident. You are all heroes and you make us proud. In recognition of their assistance on scene, police officers Twitchell, White, and Hannigan and Daly will receive letters of commendation by Chief Bromley. Thanks again, gentlemen. Next item on the special presentations is a discussion with James Charlesworth Consultants on city property and liability insurance. James Charlesworth will make comments.
Thank you, Mayor. Nothing quite clears a room like insurance. Your insurance, property liability insurance, renews on May 1st, and in the past, it's always been a scramble. We've come to you in late April, very little time to have discussion, and so we thought this year we would take the extra time and just have a conversation about where we are in the process and a little bit about what we might see. So with me today is Peter Simonson, one of our associates. A public notice was issued on January 12th. Interested participants contacted us to be part of this process. We had 5 organizations contact us. They received a copy of the RFP. We assign markets. They ask what insurance companies they want to go to. They tell us. We kind of divvy them out so that everybody has a fair opportunity. Right now, we've got 9 insurance companies working on it, and let's see, 4 of the 5 brokers or programs are working quite hard on this. One is from an area I'm not familiar with. We've had a little bit of contact with them, but I'm really not sure how interested they are. But the other 4 have been giving us a lot of questions. Staff has helped us to put together a lot of applications, and they've done a really nice job. Peter will kind of talk about a little bit more about the details if you're interested on who's participating.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the Commissioner. As James said, I'm Peter Simonson. I'm with Charles Wills Consulting, and we're working on bringing a package to you later this year for insurance renewal options. The proposals are due March 19th, and we're expecting proposals from a number of brokers and a number of carriers, which is great for the city. We're working with Arthur Gallagher, who is your incumbent broker, and they have been assigned your incumbent carrier, which is OneBeacon. They've also been assigned Midwest Public Risk, which is a pool which James is going to talk about here in a minute, and Brit, which is another carrier that does a lot of public entity insurance. We also have K-Camp that's involved. K-Camp is also a risk pool, so again, James is going to talk about that in a second. You don't need a broker to work with K-Camp, so they've been working directly with our staff and getting all the underwriting materials that they need. We're also working with Worthingham, Conradi, and Edward and Lee are the 3 other brokers that we're working with, and each of them have been assigned some carriers that they requested to bring a program back to the city. So we're excited about where we're at in the process, and I think we're going to have some great options to present to the city. The proposals are due March 19th. Our goal is to have be back here in April to present on April 9th. Your policies renew the 1st of May, so that'll give us a buffer in case things kind of get off. We have an extra council meeting. So that's the plan. I'll stand for any questions right now, and then, like I said, James is going to kind of talk about the differences between insurance and risk pools.
I had one question real quick. You said that you had one firm that you weren't familiar with because they're not from this area. Or were you talking geographically they're not from this area, or they're just not in this area of insurance?
Geographically, and to be honest with you, I don't remember where. It's the Edwards and Lee. Some of these brokers, they have programs that can search public notices, and you know, they contact us. They responded per the public notice, so we felt obligated to send it to them. But that's a good example of if they wanted, say, Travelers as their first choice, but a broker that has more experience and is more regionally located wants Travelers. Travelers is going to be awarded to the broker that we have more working relationships with versus somebody we don't know, because the service of the broker is an important aspect of insurance. Insurance is odd. It's a product. You're buying a contract, but you're also getting the service from the broker, and that's kind of the variable that's hard to quantify.
Okay. And another question I want to clarify. We're going to have a meeting, an additional meeting or presentation on this, and then have some time to mull it over, and then make a decision at the following meeting. Is that what I'm understanding?
That'll be at the commission's discretion. When the quotes come in, we will put it in a spreadsheet format. We will meet with staff, go through it, get clarifications. Sometimes it's very straightforward. We will put together a recommendation for your consideration. At that time, if you wish to defer the decision to the next meeting, that's clearly your prerogative, yes. Okay. I know in the past, things have gotten pushed to the very end, and that's just not an acceptable result. We know we've heard from you, and so we've moved the timeline up so you have more time.
And I'm very pleased with that. I'd like to say thank you to staff for doing that, because it's been in the past it's been, this, policy expires tomorrow, we've got to pass this tonight. And there's nothing, there's no mulling it over, there's no looking at alternatives or anything like that. And by doing it this way, it gives us time to fully vet all the information. And this is what I've been striving for a number of years, and I appreciate this.
If there's no other questions, I do want to talk a little bit about risk-sharing pools. As Peter mentioned, we're very possible we might have two to consider. One is Midwest Public Risk. They're out of Independence, Missouri. They're a risk-sharing pool both in Missouri and Kansas. And K-Camp, which is Kansas County, I should know, but I don't. It's mainly a county pool, but they also write cities. Now, pooling can be a great solution for the right client, but they're not the right solution for everybody. And so anytime a pool is going to be offered, to your point, Commissioner, we like to have just a conversation to kind of talk about it, so you understand, so you're not having to make a decision with all these things coming at you. So pooling largely came up in the 1980s when insurance was really, it's a hard market. It was hard to find insurance. So these pools were created so we could find protection. But they're not insurance. Pools are not insurance. They're not rated by AM Best. They're not governed by the Kansas Insurance Department. They are accessible, which means that if there is not enough reserves to pay claims, they can come back to you as members and say, we need more money. And you will be contractually obligated to do that. To join a pool, you have to approve their bylaws per action of the governing body. To leave a pool, you have to agree to withdraw a pool, usually 60, maybe 90 days in advance, which can be difficult, by governing body action. But they often don't have a broker, so you usually save that premium. And they're not profit motivated, so you usually save that premium. Sometimes they can be a lesser cost. They often have very good risk management services, so they're a little more intimate, if you will. And you're basically grouping yourselves with other like-minded organizations. A risk-sharing pool has a board of directors, which are normally city managers, county managers, and so they know the space. So again, I have several clients that are in pools, and again, it's not a bad way to go, but just understand that they're different than insurance. Insurance, they're AM Best rated, they're non-assessable. You write the check, you don't have to worry about them coming back for more. Their forms or contractual forms are approved by the insurance department. If they do go bankrupt, there might be some protection through the guarantee fund, depending on your assets and other things. Insurance companies have a lot of flexibility in their forms. We can maybe get them to do a few things that a pool normally has a policy or a coverage document. It's not considered a policy. It's a coverage document, and that is what you get. So what might be great for a town of 1,500 may not be a right fit for a town of 11,000. But that's not to say it's not right. It's just how it is. I know, like Midwest Public Risk, I did a job for Junction City, and they switched and went to Midwest Public Risk, and as far as I know, they've been very pleased. Last year, City of Fort Scott, they did a process, and they chose to go with K-Camp, and they've been very pleased. So my point tonight is not to say pools are good or bad, or insurance is good or bad, but it's just one more element that when we bring this to you in April is going to be different. And so we like to be able to answer any questions you might have on how pooling works, and so that we can answer those questions now or between now and April as they come into your head, and that way it's not overwhelming.
I'm sure this is just like the medical field, that you can Google something and get exactly what you don't need to see.
Yes,
so
sir.
Can you tell me a good place where I can go kind of do some research on these pools?
I tell you what I'll do. I will send Stephanie Richardson some links and then have her distribute them to the commission, and that way I can vet them a little bit before I send them to you.
Okay.
But I'm happy to do that. Yeah. There's some horror stories out there. There always are, but there's horror stories about insurance companies too.
Yeah.
Yep. Anything else?
Forthcoming,
One
one
more.
other thing. The forthcoming decision will either be to go with insurance or a pool.
We will bring to you the proposals that we received. I would anticipate we'll receive 2, maybe 3 regular insurance options, and then maybe 2 pools. They'll all be, so not only will you have to decide the best program, but if you are going to a pool, it will require you to agree to bylaws and things of that nature, which we would ask your city attorney to review, obviously.
There are obviously differences between insurance carriers and insurance programs, but since all the insurance programs are approved by the state, and they're usually large carriers who provide them, there is some standardization in those. Pools are really, each one is unique, and so it's a little different in terms of looking at them. Also, because there's oftentimes no broker, and oftentimes they're not trying to make a profit, they're a lot cheaper. So when we come back in April, it's not necessarily apples to oranges when you look at a spreadsheet and you see the different ones. It's not all about the dollars on the bottom line. The programs are different. There's differences in coverages, and that's what our job is in working with staff, and why we have a month to really vet the offers and the programs that are brought to us by the brokers, and kind of go back to them and ask some of those detailed questions and find out more about what they're putting together for the city.
Okay.
We've also worked in the time, again, so that when you're looking at it, you say, time out, we need to digest this. We've got that built into the timeline.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move into new business. Resolution number R-19-04, a resolution to execute a memorandum of agreement with the city of Caney to answer Kansas call handling next generation 911 service calls. Police Chief Quinn Bromley will make comments.
Mayor, Commissioners, good evening. Apologize for my voice, you'll have to bear with me. In 2017, the State of Kansas 911 Coordinating Council began replacing all Kansas E911 public safety answering points with the next generation 911 system. The City of Caney was unable to upgrade their existing 911 system and requested that the City of Coffeyville enter into an MOA providing next generation 911 services for their designated public safety answering point. I'll summarize what that entails. Currently, right now, somebody dials 911 in the City of Caney, it's answered at the Caney Police Department. When the switch takes place and when we sign this MOA, anybody inside the city limits of Caney or outside the city limits in their public safety answering area, which is going to be from the area of Tyro to the Chautauqua County line and north several miles. If in rural Montgomery County, if they dial 911, we will be answering that call. Our dispatchers will use their emergency fire and emergency medical training to assist them with the call, and then we will immediately transfer that call back to the City of Caney, and then they will handle it from there. This agreement does not include radio services or entering information into NCIC or any additional administrative duties. It's simply answering 911 calls and then transferring them back to the City of Caney. I did a study of the calls that the City of Caney had received in 2017, and that equates to about 3 911 calls for the City of Coffeyville in a 24-hour period that we will receive in addition to what we currently have. So I don't believe that that's going to burden our staff at all. I believe that this MOA would be in the best interest not only for the citizens of Caney, but also for the Coffeyville Police Department and City of Coffeyville. I'm happy to answer any questions for you if you have any.
Questions?
Could you say that all again, please?
Yeah. In 2017,
No questions.
It's a good, very good.
Questions?
No,
Thank
yeah, I think it's great, we're
We're a community.
We're one county, and as much as we can work together to help each other out, it's great, so.
absolutely. Thank you.
I make a motion to approve resolution number R-19-04 for adoption.
I second it.
Motion was made by Mayor Bauer and seconded by Commissioner Williams to approve resolution number R-19-04 for adoption. Commissioner Van Oster.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Doan.
Aye.
Mayor Bauer.
Aye. Resolution number R-19-05, a resolution to execute change order number 1 to the construction contract with Goins Enterprises for replacement of water mains on West 10th Street. Engineering Superintendent Thomas Osborne will make comments.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. As previously discussed in a previous commission meeting, Chuck Shively had talked to you guys about adding some additional work on the 10th Street waterline project, just to ensure that we cover everything that we are doing with the project and make sure everything's new under. So that is included in here, as well as we underran some line items, and all that balances out to a total change order for an increase of $46,580, making the final contract cost $823,739 for Goins. Be happy to answer any questions.
I don't have any questions. You guys?
No, I think we already discussed this a while back, so.
I move to approve resolution number R-19-05.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Williams and seconded by Commissioner Doan to approve resolution number R-19-05 for adoption. Mayor Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster.
Aye.
Commissioner Doan.
Aye.
Resolution number R-19-06, a resolution to award a construction contract to Jeff Graham Construction for the 10th Street CDBG roadway improvement project. Engineering Superintendent Thomas Osborne.
Thank you again, Mayor. This is the essentially what we did with 9th Street, the street project. We're replacing curbs, we're replacing driveways, and the new street surface. This goes from Gillum, where we end off with the previously awarded contract. It goes from Gillum to Camden, the west side of the intersection of Camden Street at the college. Again, it's streets, the streets, curb and gutter, and driveways, as well as some ADA where they are impacted and are where we are required to update those. The bids were taken on February 5th. We received 4 bids. The low bidder was Jeff Graham Construction, with a bid of $524,317.40. We asked our engineers to get in contact with Jeff Graham and make sure that he is aware of the timeline. It is it's not a super tight schedule, but it is hard dates for using the CDBG grant funds. And so he is aware of them, and he thinks and feels that he is capable to do the work. We're very happy with Graham's work. So we are recommending to award this contract to Jeff Graham Construction.
Would you remind us of the timeline?
We have the first part, which hasn't started yet, which is behind the emergency services building to Buckeye Street, that was not able to be included in the CDBG grant.
Right.
We have that awarded. It's a 45-day contract, calendar days. We have not started those calendar days yet. We're waiting for submittals to get back on some of the storm sewer and items there. From there, this project, I believe, is 100 calendar days, if I remember right. And so we don't want both of those going on at the same time because of the requirements for CDBG funding. Just so we have to keep those separate and with the same contractor. We're trying to get them so it just goes in order instead of bouncing back and forth. But we have to have everything completed and built, final change orders and everything done by December, I believe, is what the
19.
of 19. So there's plenty of time in there.
It'll
But
go quick.
it is still, you get a few weather days here and there, and streets flood from heavy rains or whatever, and it starts pushing those days. So
Yep. Any other questions?
I have none.
Make a motion to approve resolution number R-19-06 for adoption.
I'll second it.
Motion was made by Mayor Bauer and seconded by Commissioner Williams to approve resolution number R-19-06 for adoption. Commissioner Doan,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster,
Aye.
Mayor Bauer,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Thank you, Thomas.
Unrelated subject, real quick. How are we doing on the demolition of our property?
On the demolition properties,
Uh-huh.
I have not gotten anything as far as for final inspection on the non-Moeller contractor. I don't even know exactly who it is.
Yeah.
Moeller sent their finals in, ready for payment. 2 sites were good to go. The other sites had some issues just because the ground's so wet.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
trying to bring in fill, and you can't grade it out right now.
Yeah.
And so there's those issues there. So that's all I really know about those, so.
All right. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Resolution number R-19-07, a resolution to execute an agreement for residential solid waste collection with Sunset Disposal Republic Services of Cherryville. City Clerk Cindy Price will make comments.
Mayor and Commissioners, the City of Coffeyville sent out a bid request for our residential solid waste or trash collection for a 3-year period from April 1, 2019 to March 31st, 2022. And this is the residential service with the polycarts and the bulky. 2 bids were received and are included in your agenda packet. Republic Services, who is the current provider, submitted the low bid at $9.25 for a regular pickup and $9 for senior pickup. Both of those rates include a polycart and once-a-month bulky pickup, and the additional $6.10 for each additional polycart that a resident would request. Staff has reviewed the bids, both met the requested specifications, and we're recommending approving the contract with Republic Services of Cherryville for residential solid waste collection for the next 3 years. Republic provides us with good service for our citizens. With this contract, we will continue our bulky pickups on Monday as we currently have them, and the routes will remain the same. I'll be glad to answer any questions. Jennifer Fagan is here. She is the municipal manager for Republic Services.
I don't have any questions. There's a considerable difference between the two.
There's considerable difference, yes.
So I think for
The next,
when was the last
other
time-
bidder, the regular price was $16.37.
yeah, and the last time this was quoted was in 2016.
Yes.
That
We
was-
request the bids for
Every 3 years?
3 years.
Yep.
That was my question. I've been through this multiple times. Why are we stuck on a 3-year contract?
That's a good question, and the trash companies have requested that the contracts be lengthened. Also, in the contract, there is a review each year, and there can be an increase if the CPI goes up. So while we have these prices bid for this year, there may be an increase, and we've had that. That's always been included in our contracts. But that will be something that will be looked at. We're still negotiating some of the exact contract wording, working with the city attorney on the exact wording in the contract.
I mean, to Commissioner Williams' point, I think it would be nice to at least see what a 3 and a 5 are, and, maybe even get some recommendations on what other areas are doing. If they're going on a 5, 7, 10, I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to be exaggerating it on too much, but
I don't know if over time it's just become kind of a standard feeling of
Mhm.
it, and it goes the same with insurance.
right.
Is they feel that a 3-year period, and a lot of falling into that is in case something should happen, then they have a longer period of time to recoup any losses that they have. So it gets, we can always ask in the future, would they be willing to go further out, or would they shorten it? And closer, but they now kind of stuck with this 3 years, three
Yeah.
years. And so we kind of went with that, but we can always look at that in the future is coming in and saying, would you want to, in 2 years or 1 year, look at this again, or, you know, go the other way? So, but that's what we've seen going through it.
Okay.
It's kind of the standard, in case we have a bad year, we've got 2 more years to help make up for that.
I've got a couple of things to say. I'm sure you're a nice person. Don't take offense to this. If this was my company, I'd want to know. So in the last 6 months, I've had a hard time getting a return phone call on 2 different occasions. I know the money's important, but customer service is important as well. So you might look into that. One day I was going to see if I needed or if I could get an extra bulk pickup and willing to pay for it. And the other time was during the holidays or right after the holidays, and I needed my trash cans picked up again, and again, willing to pay for it. And I left a message. Somebody from the city called, left a message, and I still didn't get a return phone call. So you might look into that.
So that's very unusual.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, just usually
And the initial voicemail that I got was very polite, very professional, kosher. But then once I left a message, I didn't get anything back. So I might look into that.
And I want to clarify something into my point with this 5-year idea. When we put these out to bid, we put them out to bid, and then we receive their proposals. We go through their proposals, and we pick out the one that's it. Is there any type of negotiating between these companies? In other words, like you mentioned, and I want to throw our cards down on the table, but the increase in the CPI and stuff like that. Hey, you drop that increase in that CPI, and you'll get a 5-year contract. You know, are we negotiating this stuff, or are we just taking their proposal and taking the best one?
That is something that, you know, we need to look into and maybe improve or tweak the process, because, you know, most of this is kind of as a sealed bid process. In other words, apples and apples, and you give us your best price, and if you don't, your competitor will give us the best price. There's certain things that we might look at too, and going forward is like you said, is addressing more of terms that, you know, could be that, you know, we would be willing to do this, this, and this if you would be willing to, and being it more to their advantage of a longer term contract and more protections against bidding. And then if you agree to this, then we will look at this, you know, further out. I think that is something that we'll look at going forward, is in all ours is, you know, having that ability to possibly negotiate. So it's to say that, you know, we're doing it right now, right? This process has been a good process. They like it, but there is room to improve. So we'll keep that as we go forward with other things. We'll look into it.
I just have one other. Go ahead.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
believe this time around we're going to put some language in that it gives us the ability at the end of the 3 years prior to the end of it to negotiate for 3 additional years. As you see the difference in the bids. It's really for everybody's protection on both sides, because it could be a whole different story in 3 years. So I think that's something. I mean, that's what
We're working on the contract language.
Yeah, where it's not every 3 years, so
And-
I think we'll be fine with that.
Justin, I wanted to say, if you have issues with calling them, would you please call me? I will always be able to get right to Jennifer. I'll give you an example. We had an issue 2 or 3 weeks ago on one street that was totally missed. I didn't find out about it till very late Friday afternoon. And I was in touch with Jennifer Saturday morning. We got it all worked out. She literally is, she says it's 24/7, and I believe it because she responded right back to me Saturday morning. So if you have an issue, please call me. I can get to them.
Okay.
Well, on a side note, you guys do a good job.
Yes,
And-
I
and we
agree.
appreciate you guys, and we appreciate you guys working with the city and doing as well a job as you do. Although I think we probably could do, we could negotiate something between the two of us at a later date. I think that would become mutually agreeable. But as far as I'm concerned, I think you guys do a good job, and if there's no more further questions.
I have one more thing, and I'm not trying to be the Debbie Downer. Normally, I'm pretty positive up here, but I did some research. Why do we not have the opportunity to have recycling carts?
Well, there is nowhere around here to take any recycling volume.
Okay. I did some research, and there's some much smaller towns throughout the state of Kansas that have that opportunity. I'm not saying that it needs to be, like a political insurance plan that if you don't have it, you get fined, but I mean, it would be nice to have it as an option.
I believe we discussed this in the past.
We have looked at that, and we ask every year because
and
we
the
have
thing is-
residents who
and the
would
thing
like
is
to
I'll-
recycle.
I'll point out that when we had our discussion in the past with there not being a place to take it to be recycled relatively close, it became incredibly expensive for the citizens. So at that time, we opted not to do it, so the citizens didn't see that massive increase in their trash collection bill.
And just in this last year, China has quit accepting contaminated material down to like 0.03%. We're seeing across the board, across the United States, our company is seeing increases of 300% at our recycling facilities. So it literally, I'll give you an example, Bentonville, Arkansas, we do recycling at curbside down there. There's a facility down there that takes it. And what started out to be 0, we take it to the recycling facility, and it doesn't cost anything for us to drop it there, is now costing us $75 a ton.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. Mixed paper, which is the largest percentage of a recycling container, the recycling facilities are paying money to get rid of it. So it's the whole commodities market on all of that has just completely changed.
Okay.
Hopefully it'll get better,
Yeah.
but they call it China's sword. If you Google that, you'll have articles left and right about municipalities everywhere dropping programs, and they had 3 of the largest recycling facilities in St. Louis just shut the doors overnight. So it's
a tough game.
It's a little worse than it was when we all discussed it before.
All right. I have nothing further.
I move to approve resolution number 19-07.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Williams and seconded by Commissioner Van Oster to approve resolution number R-19-07 for adoption. Mayor Bauer,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Doan,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster.
Aye.
Resolution number R-19-08, a resolution to execute an agreement for city-owned facilities, solid waste collection with Sunset Disposal, Republic Service of Cherryville. City Clerk Cindy Price will make comments.
Mayor and Commissioners, the previous item was for the residential or citizens trash pickup. This one is for the city's trash, the city's facilities and all the parks. Again, there were 2 bids received. There's a bid tab attached in your agenda packet. Republic Services, they currently are the trash provider for our city trash, was the low bidder, and we will recommend approving a contract with them for the next 3 years. The contracts are similar. We're negotiating on the wording on those also.
Everything
And
that-
if you see the bid tab, and it's what I what I say, it's fluid because we change sometimes dumpsters. We may go from a 2-yard to a 4-yard. We may need an additional dumpster at a place. Polycarts are seasonal out at the parks. So you can't total that up and have one big total and say that's what it will be for the month. It
Right.
varies every month.
Yep.
Seasonal.
Any-
Everything I said before applies here too.
Yes.
Yeah, it does. You're absolutely right. Any questions or comments? I'll move, go ahead.
Great.
I'll move to approve resolution number R-19-08 for adoption.
I'll second it.
Motion was made by Mayor Bauer and seconded by Commissioner Van Oster to approve resolution number R-19-08 for adoption. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster.
Aye.
Mayor Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Doan.
Aye.
Resolution number R-19-09, a resolution to establish residential solid waste collection rates. Finance Director Stephanie Richardson will make comments.
Mayor and Commissioners, as you've heard, we've taken a slight increase in our trash utility rates. This resolution is simply to pass that increase on to the customers. It helps us maintain the markup that we have on our trash service in order to maintain the code enforcement activities that we do, as well as the citywide cleanup program that we offer. So this resolution proposes raising the rates on regular trash 25 cents per polycart or per dwelling unit. If there's an additional polycart at that home, it would increase to $7.14, which is a 14-cent increase. The senior rates would go from $12 to $12.25. So it's passing along that 25-cent or that 14-cent increase on to the customer. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer those.
And that would be a monthly charge.
Right.
And it would coincide with the start date of the trash contract, so April 1st.
Questions?
I'll move to approve resolution number R-19-09 for adoption.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Van Oster and seconded by Commissioner Doan to approve resolution number R-19-09 for adoption. Commissioner Doan.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Mayor Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster.
Aye.
Resolution number R-19-10, a resolution to execute an agreement with Springstead Incorporated to perform a utility rate study for the water and wastewater utility. Finance Director Stephanie Richardson will make comment.
We have in the past, in 2014, we started doing a cost of service study and a rate study with our electric utility. I think staff has and the citizens have seen some benefit out of that. We're able to ensure that our rates are set properly based on the different classifications of customers that we have, as well as it's allowed us to have some additional policies as far as line extensions and infrastructure costs, how we share those costs with those that are making improvements. Staff would also like to do the same type of study with the water wastewater utility. Springstead, our financial advisors, they do this kind of work, and in their work plan that's included in the packet, they have a list of their references with the many different sizes of cities that they work with. They're proposing to do this work for $17,500. Again, this helps us evaluate the financial operations of the utility, as well as helping us set those levels for the user fees and the usage rates that we charge our customers to ensure that they're fair, as well as helping us set aside funds and looking at our infrastructure improvement needs and the cost of those and how we develop a plan to make those improvements over the coming years. So again, we're just bringing this to the commission as a recommendation. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer those.
Do you feel like this is putting the horse before the cart with our meter situation?
No, in fact, we've already contacted KDHE as far as the revolving loan, both for water and wastewater. it will be at some point as we go to obtain those funds, we'll have to show KDHE our ability to repay. This assists us, though, in discussions with KDHE, it's not necessarily a requirement by them, but this assists them in evaluating our ability to repay. So one way or the other, this will be done. They're experts in this, but it sets us on a course that as we do that project, when those funds are needed, they will be given, and then we know that rates are at the right levels to repay. So this is really kind of getting the funding set up, and then that process will go at the same time as the materials and that are selected.
So it's kind of
gives us-
insurance to make sure we're going to get our return.
Make sure that we're getting the right amount, and the right amount is being able to repay the loan to KDHE. So that's what. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah.
We're good?
It's
Okay.
fine. I see other benefits that
Yeah.
I've talked about, but yeah.
I have one question. When was the last time we did a rate study on our water and wastewater?
You know, I asked Chuck that question, and he said he had been put in the water wastewater department about 20 years ago, and he doesn't ever remember actually doing a rate study, having a company come in and do a rate study. So
Probably due
he-
time then.
He was in, yeah.
Okay, good,
All right.
good.
Any other questions?
Any questions? I'll move to approve resolution number R-19-10 for adoption.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Van Oster and seconded by Mayor Bauer to approve resolution number R-19-10 for adoption. Commissioner Doan.
Aye.
Mayor Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Resolution number R-19-11, a resolution to approve a change order for the unit number 7 steam turbine generator for the electric utility. Electric Utility Director Mike Shook.
Good evening, Mayor Commissioners. As you all are aware, ST Cotter Turbine Services, they have completed the inspection and overhaul process on steam unit number 7. This effort, originally scheduled for 4 to 5 weeks, was extended due to the multiple repairs that were required to the various components on the turbine and generator, including some issues that we experienced during the final startup and testing of this unit. As I told you the last time I approached the commission with invoices for this project, that I would bring back before you the final invoicing. So utility staff has negotiated the final 2 invoices with ST Cotter, one being extra work authorization number 8. The original invoice come in at $32,645.51. This was to cover the startup issues. We negotiated that down to $24,484.13. The project extension cost, this was the project extended 5 weeks beyond what was anticipated. The ST Cotter invoiced this at $176,179.21. We negotiated that down to $100,958. Therefore, staff is recommending that the mayor be authorized to approve and direct the Director of Finance to issue a purchase order to ST Cotter Turbine Services in the amount of $125,442.13 for additional out-of-scope work for an extension cost for turbine generator number 7, and I would be happy to try to answer any questions that you may have.
That's pretty good negotiating.
Yeah,
skills
that
right
is.
there.
I'm like, wow, we
Hey, we're
negotiated.
tough.
Yeah,
You must be.
It's like $100,000.
that's very good.
Yeah, I mean, you got a $75,000. Knock $75,000 off that total. That's pretty
We
impressive.
had some long calls with them. We didn't agree
That's,
on some
that's-
items, so. We were in a
Yeah.
good position.
Although we don't like the extra cost.
Correct.
Kudos to you and your team for getting that price.
We
to
still
that.
come in over budget.
Yeah.
I will say that. And we had budgeted at $850,000. I think we're at $855.
Yeah, not bad. for all the problems you ran into in the extended
Yeah,
time.
the time.
Especially when you came to us last time and said it was going to be way over budget.
Yeah.
So, I don't have any questions.
I don't either. Thank you.
Yes,
for
thank you.
saving us money.
I agree. Any other questions?
No, I don't have any.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve resolution number R-19-11 for adoption.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Mayor Bauer and seconded by Commissioner Van Oster to approve resolution number R-19-11 for adoption. Commissioner Doe.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Mayor Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster.
Aye.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, sir.
City managers report.
Mayor, commissioners.
And don't rub it in our face that you went and came back with a sunburn.
Yeah. All I can say was very nice. Anyway, I just want to say how great staff is to work with, and they truly believe in Coffeyville and what they're doing. It is one of those, I want to thank the commissioners for meeting with the Coffeyville Reawakening. That's exciting, and I know you'll talk about that. Would also take just a little time to thank staff for the way they handled the ice storm. I received calls from many of the local people here in town, and in fact, one that is close to Mayor Bauer, that he had a situation and went through and got assistance through the city. They worked long and hard, and Jim and Chuck did a fantastic thing of being able to move people around that had to be out with this ice. So I want to kind of, they all do a fantastic job, and they're all great people, and I know you know that. But this was a good thing and a good reflection on the city, and businesses, not only the commissioners sent notes, but businesses called in and said what a great thing they did. So I'll leave it at that and thank them and the rest of staff. And if there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer those.
No questions.
No questions. Very good.
Thank you.
This time we'll take comments from the public. The public is free to comment on items not listed on the agenda. Please address comments to the commission as a body and be mindful of others who may also wish to speak by limiting your comments to 3 minutes. No one tonight? All right. We'll take comments from commissioners and staff. I would like one individual to stand up. She's wearing a stocking cap, and I see her at every commission meeting that there is.
I'm just happy to be able to come out every time.
Tonight,
It's a lot of fun.
tonight is, absolutely, tonight is Mary's 88th birthday.
Oh,
So-
great.
So,
I got you stood up on that
so thank you, Mary, for coming out and spending your evening with us on your birthday.
Yes.
Really, the only other comment I'd like to make is a couple weeks ago, I happened to be driving down Ninth Street, and I saw our city manager. Didn't realize it was him at the time. I saw someone at the end of the street in their coveralls and stocking cap, and they were raking up the sidewalk, or sweeping up the sidewalk and raking out the leaves out of the patches of dirt right now. Not realizing it was him until a little while after I'd been there. I went out and tried to make my presence known, and then Mike Shook showed up, and these guys were hard at cleaning downtown to start getting our reawakening moving in the right direction, to show the support from the city staff and management here. So, you know, I believe that this project is going to take a life of its own. I've actually talked to several business owners downtown, and you talk about the enthusiasm that is going on with that. It's they are very, very enthusiastic on this reawakening of downtown. So I'm very anxious to see what we're doing and moving forward to get done, and so people can really come down and see Coffeyville in the light that we should shine in.
Yes. Very good.
Did you see the one bench that's out so far?
I did, and the benches look great, yes.
Yeah.
Joe Ferguson,
Uh-huh.
he built one bench outside of the Coffeyville Mall.
Mhm.
And I believe there was another, I saw 2 benches, but I don't think I've seen the other one as far as driving around and seeing. I saw the wooden one though, but there was a picture of 2 on, I believe on social media on Facebook that I saw, but I have actually went and sat on the other one, so it's very nice.
It's good. It's a good thing for Coffeyville. It really is.
That's all I have.
I'd like to say that a week or so ago we had a special meeting with some interested parties from the golf course, and I think that we had, and it wasn't broadcast on the live channel, but I think that we had a really good discussion with them folks, and I think that we learned some things that perhaps we didn't take in account when we made some decisions in the past. And I look forward to working with them folks in the future, and I think they brought some really good ideas to the forefront. And I believe this commission is going to take their suggestions to heart, and I think that we'll have some really good working times in the future to improve our golf course.
I agree. Thank you for bringing that up, because that was a very constructive meeting.
That's all I had.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. At this time, we'll move to executive section. This is a consultation with our attorney. We'll move to recess to discuss the contract negotiations pursuant to the attorney-client relationship, exception to include Mike Shook and Stephanie Richardson, to reconvene in the commission room at, let's just say, 7:45. All in favor?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion was made by Mayor Bauer and seconded by Commissioner Van Oster to recess to executive session to discuss contract negotiations pursuant to the attorney-client relationship exception to include Mike Shook and Stephanie Richardson, to reconvene in the commission room at 7:45 PM. All in favor?
Aye.